Here are the top stories for today, July 29, 2021. Tightening control, Metro Manila and some areas will remain under a stricter general community quarantine as the government tries its best to balance public health and the economy. No reason to panic. The Health Department allays fears of a significant surge in COVID-19 cases in Metro Manila. It adds the COVID-19 surge in Central Visayas is under control. More vaccines coming. Another 1.5 million doses of government-procured Sinovac jabs from China arrived today. The United Kingdom is donating over 400,000 doses of AstraZeneca jabs to the Philippines. And promotion fit for a champion, weightlifting star Hidilyn Diaz personally gets her staff sergeant rank from no less than the Air Force Chief for her feat in the Tokyo Olympics. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Metro Manila remains under the general community quarantine with heightened restrictions. This is effective until August 15. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte approved the recommendation to extend the status in Metro Manila amid the increase in the number of COVID-19 cases. Aside from Metro Manila, 4 of its nearby provinces such as Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal will also be placed under GCQ with heightened restrictions from August 1 to 15, as well as the provinces of Ilocos Sur, Cagayan, Lucena City, Naga City, Aklan, Bacolod City, Capiz, Negros Oriental, Zamboanga del Sur, Misamis Oriental, Davao City, Davao del Norte, Davao de Oro, Davao Occidental, and Butuan City. Meantime, the province of Iloilo and its highly urbanized city will remain under the most restrictive enhanced community quarantine or ECQ until August 7, as well as Cagayan de Oro and the Gingoog City in Misamis Oriental due to the apparent spike in the COVID-19 infections. The modified ECQ or MECQ is meanwhile imposed in Ilocos Norte, Bataan, Lapu-Lapu City, and Mandaue from August 1 to 15, while Bataan, Lapu-Lapu City, and Mandaue are still under modified GCQ until July 31. The quarantine status in Ilocos Norte has also been upgraded since it is currently under GCQ with heightened restrictions until the end of July. The regular GCQ classification will be implemented in Baguio City, Apayao, Santiago City in Isabela, Nueva Vizcaya, Quirino, Quezon, Batangas, Puerto Princesa, Guimaras, Negros Occidental, Zamboanga Sibugay, Zamboanga City, Zamboanga del Norte, Davao Oriental, and Davao del Sur, General Santos City, Sultan Kudarat, Sarangani, North Cotabato, South Cotabato, Agusan del Norte, Surigao del Norte, Agusan del Sur, Dinagat Islands, Surigao del Sur, and Cotabato City in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao for the entire month of August. The rest of the country will stay under MGCQ next month. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said financial assistance will be given to low-income households in the ECQ areas.
Inapruban po ng Presidente ang pagbigay ng 1,000 tulong sa mga nangangailangang mga kababayan natin sa mga areas na nasa ilalim ng ECQ at ito po ay hanggang maximum na 4 po kada pamilya. Ang pondo po ay dina-download na po sa mga lokal na pamahalaan ng Iloilo Province, Iloilo City, Cagayan de Oro City at Gingoog City.
Philippine National Police Chief General Guillermo Eleazar has already ordered the administrative relief of Quezon City Station 3 Commander Lieutenant Colonel Christine Tabdi over an apparent breach of protocol. This after Tabdi deployed personnel during Monday's sauna event pending the result of their RT-PCR test. Reports show that at least 51 out of the 82 personnel who were deployed for sauna duty on Monday tested positive for COVID-19. Eleazar said they are now conducting focused testing on all other QCPD personnel to identify, isolate, and provide necessary medical assistance for all those who may have been infected by the virus. Eleazar said they are already preparing for more testing in coordination with the Quezon City local government unit. He also called on people to stop speculations as why they have yet to determine whether the police personnel were infected with the highly transmissible Delta variant. Eleazar also added that the PNP has long prepared for all worst-case scenarios like this, which include aggressive vaccination and preparing for more isolation and medical facilities. The Department of Health, or DOH, says there is no definitive evidence of a surge in the National Capital Region yet, despite the observed increase in coronavirus infections. The Octa Research Group earlier said the Metro Manila is officially in a surge of cases. According to the DOH, it acknowledges the observations of independent expert groups. However, such observations should be carefully verified. DOH Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said that they are seeing low health care and intensive care utilization rate in the region. The latest data analysis by the DOH Epidemiology Bureau shows that the NCR is showing a 19% increase in two-week growth rates, while the average daily attack rate is at 6 cases per 100,000 population, which it still is at moderate risk. Meanwhile, the Department of Health in the Central Visayas says all hospitals there have increased their bed capacity to accommodate COVID-19 patients. This is amid claims of certain quarters that Central Visayas healthcare system is overwhelmed due to a surge in COVID-19 cases. DOH 7 Regional Director Jaime Bernada said the region now has a total of 840 hospital beds for coronavirus patients on top of the 1,601 readied beds in different isolation facilities and 162 ICU beds. He also said that the local government units are reactivating their hospitals for stepped-up COVID-19 response. The country's inoculation drive against COVID-19 gets a boost with the arrival of another batch of COVID-19 vaccines. A total of 1.5 million doses of the Sinovac vaccine arrived at 7:30 a.m. today at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 3 via Cebu Pacific. This latest batch of Sinovac vaccines procured by the national government. Meanwhile, 415 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine are also expected to arrive in the country as the first tranche of the 100 million vaccine doses donated by the United Kingdom. Galvez says that as more jabs continue to arrive in the country, the National Task Force Against COVID-19 targets to narrow down the gap in the administration of the first and second doses of COVID-19 vaccines. He said there was a time when the first dose outnumbered the second dose by 8 million. Despite inclement weather, Galvez is optimistic that the increase in the daily vaccination rate would continue in the coming weeks. The Philippines has registered a new daily high of 659,029 doses of the COVID-19 vaccines administered on Tuesday. Galvez says the country can achieve the 500,000 inoculations per day target as long as there are steady supply of vaccine arriving in the country. 29 of the 119 Delta variant cases detected in the country were unvaccinated against COVID-19. This was confirmed by Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, stressing that those who contracted the Delta variant only suffered mild or no symptoms after receiving 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine to date. About 12 of the 119 cases remain active. Meanwhile, National Task Force Against COVID-19 Deputy Chief Implementer Secretary Vince Dizon urges the public to take the Delta variant seriously and get vaccinated against the dreaded disease.
Kailangan pong seryosohin natin itong Delta variant na umiikot na dito sa mga iba't iba nating syudad. Nakita natin ang experience po ng ibang bansa. Kailangan maghanda tayo dito at kailangan lahat ng option ay maging open tayo kung ano ang pwedeng gawin.
Senior citizens of Quezon City's District 2 were prioritized for the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccines in a special rollout on a rainy Wednesday. Task Force Vax to Normal co-chair Joseph Huico said they received 19,000 doses of the Janssen-made jabs. Mayor Joy Belmonte said senior citizens must be prioritized because of the higher numbers of COVID-19 patients in the district and the threat of the more infectious Delta variant. District 2 is the most densely populated with 738,000 residents out of nearly 3 million. A report of the Quezon City Epidemiology and Disease Surveillance Unit reported that District 2 has over 13,800 of the 106,000 total cases in the city as of July 26. The QC government is targeting to vaccinate a total of 300,000 senior citizens. In Pangasinan, the city government of San Carlos achieved the highest single-day vaccine count on Tuesday with 1,160 administered doses of COVID-19 vaccines. The number surpassed the recorded highest single-day vaccination on Monday with 1,064 doses inoculated and 640 doses on July 23. The city government aims to inject over 6,000 doses of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines to qualified individuals under the A2 priority group or the senior citizens. As of July 26, some 2,500 senior citizens have been fully vaccinated in the city. Still to come, Olympic champion Hidilyn Diaz gets her staff sergeant rank from no less than the Philippine Air Force Chief. And Partners for Development, the Philippines and Japan pledged to hasten the implementation of infrastructure projects. Details ahead, this is the PNA Newsroom.
Yorme Isko po, bakuna po ang ating kasangga sa patuloy na pandemya. Kaya upang maproteksyonan ang ating sarili at mga mahal sa buhay, huwag po nating palampasin ang pagkakataong magpabakuna sa lalong madaling panahon. Tandaan na sa patuloy na laban kontra COVID-19, ang disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado. Magparehistro't magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan. Manila, God first.
Si Mayor Richard Gomez po ito. Sa patuloy na pagharap natin sa COVID-19 pandemic, bawat isa ay bida at solusyon para wakasan ito. Huwag po tayo matakot magpabakuna dahil ito ay tiyak na proteksyon hindi lamang sa ating sarili, kundi pati sa ating pamilya, mahal natin sa buhay, komunidad. Kaya magparehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan. Ang disiplinado na Pilipino, rehistrado at kailangan bakunado.
The accolades continue to pour in for Tokyo Olympics gold medalist Hidilyn Diaz as she receives a rank promotion from the Philippine Air Force and a Presidential Medal of Honor for her weightlifting feat. Meanwhile, Diaz has some advice for young athletes who wish to follow her example. Chris Mundo has the details.
Find your own direction, work hard on your dreams, and never give up. Filipino weightlifter and Tokyo Olympian Hidilyn Diaz gave this advice to all Filipino youth who want to pursue a career in sports and one day shine in the international arena. She said the most important thing is to have that dream, direction, and determination, and to never give up no matter what trial they face. Diaz gave this message as she met virtually with Philippine Ambassador to Japan Jose Laurel V and the embassy's Deputy Chief of Mission Robespierre Bolivar. She expressed her deep appreciation to the Filipino people, particularly those in Japan who supported her throughout her journey. Diaz, a 2016 Rio Olympic silver medalist, scored a historic gold medal win at the women's 55-kilogram weightlifting event at the Tokyo Olympics. She ended the Philippines' almost a century-old gold medal quest that began in the Paris 1924 Olympics. In honor of her Olympic feat, Diaz has been promoted to Staff Sergeant by the Philippine Air Force. Air Force Chief Lieutenant General Allen Paredes, pinned Diaz with her staff sergeant chevron shortly after she arrived in the country Wednesday. Diaz is also set to receive 3 million pesos from President Rodrigo Duterte for giving the Philippines its first ever Olympic gold medal. Duterte said he would also confer the Presidential Medal of Merit, one of the highest of the nation's presidential medals, on Diaz. He also thanked Diaz for striving hard to win the gold and told Diaz to forget the unpleasant things that happened between her and the current administration. In 2019, Diaz appealed for financial support amid her preparations for the Olympic event. The same year, her name was included in the broader Oust Duterte Matrix, released by then presidential spokesperson and incumbent chief presidential legal counsel, Salvador Panelo. Amid the multitude of rewards that Diaz has received, House of Representatives Ways and Means Committee Chair Joey Salcedo filed on Wednesday House Bill No. 9891, otherwise known as the proposed Hidilyn Diaz Act. This will exempt the monetary donations and rewards she and other national athletes would receive from any forms of taxes and charges. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
The House of Representatives approved on third and final reading 2 measures seeking to establish a virology research institute in the Philippines and a center for disease control. Both bills have been identified as priority measures by President Rodrigo Duterte in his final State of the Nation address last July 26. Duterte called for the creation of public entities dedicated to managing emerging and re-emerging diseases. House Bill 9559 proposes to create the Virology Science and Technology Institute of the Philippines, or VIP. The VIP shall serve as the premier research and development institute in the study of viruses and viral diseases in humans, plants, and animals. Meanwhile, House Bill 9560 seeks to modernize the country's public health emergency preparedness through the creation of the Center for Disease Prevention and Control. The bill seeks to advance health modernization and institutional reforms to protect the public from further health risks. The Philippine and Japanese governments on Wednesday reaffirmed their commitment to the fast and sure implementation of their bilateral cooperation projects. During the 11th meeting of the Japan-Philippines High-Level Joint Committee on Infrastructure Development and Economic Cooperation, both sides recognized the significant strides achieved in ongoing joint infrastructure projects and pandemic response cooperation measures. They welcomed the fulfillment of Japan's 2017 commitment of 1 trillion yen in public and private financing to the Philippines with the signing of the 253 billion yen loan for the Metro Manila Subway project on Tuesday. The meeting was held in time for the celebration of the 65th anniversary of diplomatic relations and the 10th anniversary of the strategic partnership between Japan and the Philippines this year. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte has extolled the Philippines' unrivaled partnership with Japan for 65 years now. Duterte expressed confidence that the two nations' strategic partnership will continue to strengthen amid their deepening people-to-people linkages. He acknowledged that only a handful of the Philippines' bilateral relationships with other countries aside from Japan have become deeply transformative. In a video message, Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga has expressed his appreciation for the strong bond between the two nations. Suga also vowed that Japan would continue to work closely with the Philippines in battling the COVID-19 pandemic, supporting the Build, Build, Build infrastructure program, pursuing a proactive approach for the enhancement of maritime law enforcement, and maintaining peace and order in Mindanao. The Estrella Pantaleon Bridge that is expected to decongest EDSA is now open. Motorists from Mandaluyong City can now reach the Central Business District of Makati within 5 minutes. In an earlier Facebook post, Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Mark Villar announced that the bridge connecting Makati and Mandaluyong will open on July 29 at 8 p.m. On Wednesday, DPWH officials conducted the final safety inspection of the new structure, which is expected to accommodate about 50,000 vehicles daily. Villar said, despite the challenges, the DPWH was able to deliver its commitment for the July opening of the 1.46 billion peso bridge constructed through a grant from the People's Republic of China. The Estrella Pantaleon Bridge is one of the two bridges funded by the Chinese government. The other one is the Binondo Intramuros Bridge in Manila that is expected to be finished at the end of the year. Moving on to business, the possible implementation of stricter quarantine measures to address the COVID-19 Delta variant threat is another challenge to the financial stability of the country. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Assistant Governor Johnny No Ravalo said anticipating the threat from the Delta variant is part of their scenario analysis in terms of financial stability. Medical experts and a business group have backed the implementation of a lockdown in August to prevent further rise of infections caused by the more contagious Delta variant. BSP Governor Benjamin Diokno meanwhile said, while recovery is expected for the economy this year, COVID-19 has taken away opportunities expected prior to the pandemic. Diokno said international agencies have noted varied economic recovery among countries, indicating new risks. He called for vigilance as clear signs of stability remain even as market conditions remain very fluid. Up next, 4 million Filipinos await their national ID after completing the whole registration process. And a grim milestone for Japan as COVID-19 cases soar while it hosts Olympics under the shadow of the pandemic. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Ako po si Sergeant Munoz ng Philippine Air Force para sa kampanya na Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Proud po akong sabihin na bakunado na ako laban sa COVID-19. Kaya naman po panatag ang aking kalooban dahil alam ko na protektado ako at ang aking pamilya laban sa coronavirus. Bida ang may disiplina. Kaya naman magparehistro at magpabakuna na para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Paulo Jones po para sa kampanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit ba kailangan magparehistro sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Mahalaga magparehistro dahil ito ang unang step sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19. May 3 pamamaraan upang makapagrehistro ang isang Pilipino na nais mabakunahan. Una, ang online registration sa inyong local government unit o LGU. Pangalawa, ang pagpunta sa mga vaccination centers at pagkuha ng registration form. At pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga pinuno ng barangay o sa mga barangay health center. Tandaan, online, sa mga vaccination site o sa mga barangay health centers ang pagpaparehistro sa pagpapabakuna kontra COVID-19. Muli ako po si Paulo Medjones, Disiplina Muna Ambassador na nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna. Bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro at magpabakuna para ligtas ang pamilya, ligtas ang bayan. Disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar on Wednesday expressed confidence that the successors of President Rodrigo Duterte will continue his legacy. Andanar praised Duterte for citing in his 6th and last State of the Nation address the administration's accomplishments in the past 5 years. He said the Duterte administration will be remembered for maintaining peace and security, focusing on infrastructure development, championing good governance, pursuing an independent foreign policy, boosting the economy, and addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. Andanar also touted the signing into law of several bills under the Duterte administration, including the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, the Universal Health Care Law, and the Malasakit Centers Act. Andanar said the government will continue to work hard even during its last year in office. He said they want to ensure that Duterte's legacy will be remembered and will continue with future administrations. Thousands of residents around the Tamlang Valley Convergence area in Negros Oriental are set to benefit from infrastructure projects launched as part of President Rodrigo Duterte's whole-of-nation approach to end insurgency. The provincial government had allocated 20 million pesos for the construction of a road connecting Sitio Kakha to Sitio Avocado in Barangay Talalak, Santa Catalina. The Armed Forces Engineering Battalion and the Provincial Engineering Office are building the said road. Governor Roel de Gamo led the Negros Oriental Provincial Task Force to end local communist armed conflict in an outreach program at Sitio Avocado. The provincial government is also planning to build a community primary hospital in the area. Adrian Cedillo, chief of the Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, said that while the provincial government is funding these projects, these form part of the LCAC program to address insurgency. Nearly 3 months since its launch, the Step 1 online registration of the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys, has recorded over 4.1 million applicants. The Philippine Statistics Authority reported that as of July 15, these 4.1 million applicants can now proceed to Step 2 or the biometrics process. PSA Undersecretary Dennis Mapa thanked Filipinos who showed interest in PhilSys and assured further improvements of the registration website. Step 1 gathers demographic information primarily through house-to-house visitation by PSA enumerators. Registrants can still register on-site, subject to health protocols. Step 2 will store iris and fingerprint scans and front-facing photographs before the Philippine identification card is delivered by the Philippine Post. The entire process is free of charge. In sports, COVID-19 cases in Tokyo have reportedly shot up to a record high just 4 days after the start of the Olympics. Reports on Tuesday said Japan's capital reported over 2,800 new cases, its highest daily figure to date, amid a wave of infections driven by the contagious Delta variant. The nationwide daily count was also above 7,000 for the first time since May 12, inching closer to Japan's all-time high of about 8,000 in January. Infections have also been mounting in the provinces neighboring Tokyo, such as Kanagawa and Chiba. Experts warn that the Delta strain may cause an alarming surge in cases that could peak around August 3, 5 days before the Olympics end. The number of COVID-19 cases at the Games has risen to 155 after 7 more people, including 2 foreign athletes, tested positive for the virus. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Tightening control, Metro Manila and some areas will remain under a stricter general community quarantine as the government tries its best to balance public health and the economy. No reason to panic. The Health Department allays fears of a significant surge in COVID-19 cases in Metro Manila. It adds the COVID-19 surge in Central Visayas is under control. More vaccines coming. Another 1.5 million doses of government-procured Sinovac jabs from China arrived today. The United Kingdom is donating over 400,000 doses of AstraZeneca jabs to the Philippines. And promotion fit for a champion, Weightlifting star Hidilyn Diaz personally gets her staff sergeant rank from no less than the Air Force Chief for her feat in the Tokyo Olympics. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.